knew a girl whose father was a doctor, and I was working at this restaurant washing dishes. I had a job for a little while, and she had a doctor bag, and I went in the car. She was in the restaurant and stole it. It had morphine and stuff, and then I read the address, broke in there, then the address to the pharmacy he had got it from. Then me and this other guy, we got some guns, and we started robbing pharmacies. I got caught. I was still a juvenile.
How much time?
Well, what happened was they gave me a choice. I could either go to YA or I could go to adult prison. YA at that time, you could go till you're 25, 7 years about I do. Or I could take at the time they sentenced you like burglary, they'd sentence you to, so they were offering me either you're gonna go to adult prison and you don't get the YA number, and they talked about giving me an N number, which at that time was a narcotics number, which you'd go to CRC. But I got a regular number and went to the big house, and I had a hard time. I was a young guy, you know.
Where'd you go?
It's culture shock, man. It's the Bastille by the Bay. It's Quemos. It's larger than life. Now I hear it's a low-level prison, but at that time, it's everything. They say it, you know what I mean? And you're a young kid, and the gangs control it. It had sewer control painted on it, like the South got the yard. The Mexican mafia's.
And the police didn't paint it all.
Nah, they left it there. I don't know, but you know, and so the North and South are fighting, and the BGF's there, and you know, it's the yard. It's the big yard. You know, Folsom, I think, is a little worse.
Hey, let's get Al Prophet to 1 million subscribers. So, in addition to liking and sharing and leaving a comment, remember to subscribe.
I was a real troublemaker. So even in the juvenile system, I bucked. And it wasn't that I was a troublemaker, like I didn't prey on other inmates. But I bucked the system. And I think that they're like, oh, we got something for your ass. You know what I mean? Like,
So you make up.
and then in Quentin, there'd be weed. We'd lock down, and there'd be weed. Someone would be smoking weed, and you'd hear the brand, the AB would be like, hey, second tier, who's smoking weed? And everyone would be real quiet. They'd smell it, I guess. You know what I mean? And then the second tier, this happened one time, I heard, and the second tier would go, it's brothers. It was some black guys. This is brothers, man. Because if they hit anything, they wanted a piece. You dig? Like, I remember that. I remember that very clearly.
Well, forget if any whites they hit.
Yeah, and so it's late at night. We're all locked down.
If you're white and you're smoking weed, you need to hit.
And they're yelling, and you know, it's. I think Billy Parrott was who it was.
So they were there and they were in Kings Hall.
Fuck yeah, and they're like, second tier, who's smoking weed? Who is that? They're yelling for.
They made someone like a younger white inmate less or more safe or mixed age.
Well, I think, okay, if you want to talk about the gangs, I think because later in the feds, I knew all those guys. I think originally it started out as a good idea. And I think that eventually it got bad. Okay, I'll give you an example. I had a friend, Skip, gangster, San Diego, and he is owed somebody for some weed, and he's at commissary, and he's walking by, and there's a mobster there, a Mexican mob guy, and he's like, and he's like who are you getting the cigarettes for? And Skip's like, hey, it's for I'll think of the guy's name. And the guy's like, that's my weed, give me the stuff. And so Skip, what are you gonna say? No? What are you gonna do? You know, he's fucking saying it's his, and he's like, well, I gotta pay this other guy. And he's like, no, he's selling it for me, just give it straight to me. And he gives it up.
But it wasn't.
No. And that was the one time I saw them. They took Skip to the guy. Billy Parrott did. He took him to the guy, and he said, hey, I think it might have been a guy named Mosca, I don't know. But he said, hey.
When was this Phil?
Was it? I don't know.
Let's give this guy cute.
Oh, he did? Yeah, I think it might have been, yeah. He says, Billy's like, hey, I want you to meet my homeboy, Skip. And then the guy's like, oh, you're his homeboy? He goes, yeah. And says, you know what? I made a mistake on that. And, you know, and then Billy said, this is what we're here for. He literally said that, like the gang, you know what I mean? So it was the one time I ever saw it
Generally, do they
work as it was supposed to. You follow what I'm saying? Because later, as time went on and I did more time and, you know, my bigger sentence, we needed all the good dudes we could get. Okay, so here's what happens with that. You take away everything from people. Guys, you throw them in a cell. They're going to divide by race. It's just naturally going to happen. Skin color first. Second, neighborhoods. But first, skin color. It's natural. I mean, it's weird, whatever, but it's
definitely that. I'm talking about.
yeah. So when they formed them, I think it was during the civil rights movement. Old man Jimmy later told me this, and we can talk about Jimmy. He said that they formed because the civil rights movement changed the dynamics with blacks and whites in prison, with the BGF and the Black Panthers. And he said prior to that, it was different. Prior to that, they didn't prey on other races. And then when they started to, I think they started it as a good thing. But later they preyed on young whites. And what happens is you go there. Maybe you're scared. You hear all this shit. You see movies, you know, because you don't know it's a big house. You dig? And they put so much pressure on these kids that the kid potentially could be a good guy if they would let him grow into it. But instead, they scare him so bad, he checks in or he PCs up, and maybe he would have been a good guy. Now, what they'd say to you is they'd say, oh, it was always in him. If he PC'd up, it was because it was in him. But the truth is, man, you go in there, you've never been in there before, you're facing a lot of time, you're a young white kid. Those guys are it. They're fucking perfect. They're fucking, you know, they're tattooed. They have the run of the yard. They're fucking hip, you know, and you look up to them. And then you have dudes like I've told this story before, but you know, you have someone putting pressure on you, and a lot of guys cave, and they probably wouldn't. But the pressure's so strong that you're in your cell at night. Like there was one time I had a guy, this fucker, he bothered the shit out of me. He's doing life without now. I keep an eye on where he is. I mean, this fucking guy was a booty bandit. He was relentless. And I had to fight this guy like 6 times, man.
Oh, right.
Oh, fuck yeah. And then finally the white dudes are like, look, the kid's not going to give up. Like one time he came down to my cell and he threw his boxers in the cell. And he was like, do my laundry, bitch. And I flushed his boxers down the shitter because the shitter will take an apple. It'll take almost a blanket. I flushed him down the shitter. I said, I'm sending them out. They'll be back later. And he's like, I'm going to fucking kill you, you know, but I'm not going to give up. I was in juvenile hall, and why? I'm not going to give up. Anyway, but that particular guy.
So, but you guys had actual.
Oh, many times. And later, later, this is the truth. We were on the tier in Phoenix in the feds, and he was there because the system's small, so a lot of us knew each other. We'd see each other throughout the system. I was on the second tier there, and I was in an argument with a drug debt with a black guy, and he thought I was lying to him, but I wasn't. And there was like 3 or 4 of them, and we were going to go. And he was watching the guy, and he came out and backed me. The guy I used to fight, he actually saved me because it stopped the fight. We were going to go, and then the guy came and said, okay, wait. And then I told him, look, I'm telling you, you know, like, because my cellie owed, it wasn't me, but we didn't hit the drugs. They thought we did, you know. Anyway, I always got along with the white dudes. Yeah. In TI, that's when I first met TD Bingham and those guys because they were fighting a thing from Lompoc. And, you know, you take a punk rock kid like me and TD and you put us in the yard in shoe, and I have barely anything in common with that guy. You know, good dude. You know, I mean, but he's not a punk rock kid. He's not, just very different. Not a city guy. Not
That was he about.
I
Those who don't know who he is,
I knew who he
was very high.
I knew who he was. Of course, we all know who he's. But he was always really good to me.
Like country-ish.
Yeah. I think a lot of those guys, the Cars, Sacramento guys, Fresno guys, Modesto guys, they're all a couple generations away from the Okies. Respectfully, talk like that. You know what I mean? They're still kind of like this, and they're a little, you know what I mean? Because very different than the Los Angeles and the San Diego guys. Very different than, and the San Bernardino.
Like 8 million Okies in there. People.
Oh, is that?
There's a lot of
Yeah, I think that had, because I had another friend I really loved, Roger Schmidt. He tried to escape from Tehachapi, and he's in the system his whole life too. I tattooed him quite a bit. He had a special parole of life. He was kidnapping speed chemists. He was from Fresno. Got a couple pictures of me and him I'll show you. And I really liked him too. But they were northern guys. They're different. Now you go in there and you get a crash course in what's right and what's wrong. And basically if anybody can do time. There's a few things you don't do. You don't gamble, you don't get in drug debts, you know what I mean? But you also, if the shit hits the fan, you got to ride with your people, you know what I mean? And I don't know about anymore. I watched the YouTube videos and some of these guys that are in special needs yards, and I'm 30 years removed from it, but it's just real foreign to me because it's not okay. Because, you can't just...
There's so many more people in there. There's a lot of mentally ill and flakes, and they can't be the warning.
I was lucky. The first time I went to the hole in Terminal Island, Chainsaw, who was Tommy Silverstein's original crime partner, was a friend of mine, and he had gone to the hole. He was in there. So when they walked me upstairs to AD, which is not disciplinary segregation, it's administrative detention, which is where TD and them were, they walked me to Chainsaw's cell, and he said, yeah, he can cell with me, and he put me in there. And I had never been in the hole. Tommy Silverstein, he did the most amount of time, right, from his original bank robbery, right? His name is Gerald Hoff. We called him Chainsaw. I don't know where he got the nickname. He had a really cool tattoo. He had a tattoo on this forearm of a girl, black and gray joint tattoo of a girl washing her cooch in a fountain, like a drinking fountain. That was pretty funny. But he was there, so when I went to the hole, he taught me how to do hole time. You're talking about a guy that, his fucking cousin is Tommy Silverstein. That was a legend. You know what I mean? Like, you're talking about real deal. Now Chainsaw did his 15. He never was involved in any of the murders. Like Tommy and him.
They punished him for being down.
Oh God, yeah. And I got it too for it. Because the minute me and him got close, when we got back to C Block, we celled together. And then the lieutenants and them that knew who he was, then all of a sudden, because every day he got me a job in the carpenter shop, and we didn't do anything. Literally, we did nothing. But every morning we'd go at yard work call, before work call, we'd stand, there's a breezeway, and we'd stand there and wait, and we'd watch everybody. And they would see us waiting, drinking our coffee, gonna go, you know what I mean? And so then that got me in trouble, because then if anything happened, I was associated with him, and then old man Jimmy, who was another legend. What happened with him, I forgot about this, but the University of Mississippi was doing a study on prisoner tattoos. And they picked me and Jimmy. And
You identify gang or just in general?
I think just in general, it wasn't a gang thing then, but
What do they mean when they?
yeah, you know, because I have tattoos like I have like 11,500. I have a machine gun that you get with 211 if you're an armed robber. I have all the typical SoCal on my back. Yeah, all the little, I have them all from then. I don't know about anymore. I don't know. But back then, you know, like everybody would get white pride on their back arms, you know?
Didn't mean you in the earring.
No. Just, and a lot of times there'd be a guy that had like good wood and he'd be blowing somebody, you know? I mean, you know, there's a lot of disguise and a lot of fake guys and, you know, yeah, you never know. But with me, they're like, hey, we're going to do your back arms. And I'm like, okay, I want Dragon Slayer. No, they said it, not me. But they're like, we want to put Dragon Slayer on you. And they did. It says Dragon Slayer. And that meant dope fiend. You know, slaying the dragon. Yeah. So I never got white pride. I got Dragon Slayer. I'll show you. You know, it's kind of funny. I have SoCal and, you know, I mean, now I got a few street shop tattoos and stuff, and I had a few from before, but most of the tattoos I have from prison. Sometime in the 90s and 2000s and all that, I don't know how these people that get involved and then they check in, do they not realize you're playing for all the marbles? When you get involved in those race wars and gangs and all that, you will die. It is real. And so what are you surprised that they fucking put you in the hat? See, a lot of that, what happens is, especially after the shoe programs became permanent. When I first went in there, the longest shoe program was 5 years in Marion. And then you could work your way down if you acted right. You could end up there longer, but technically it was a 5, not an indeterminate shoe. Tommy Silverstein, that changed that. But what happens is you get in those cells and you're alone and you're paranoid, and then you start thinking too much, and then another guy's in there, and then there's power struggles and rumors, and the next thing you know, he kind of taught me how to rob banks. I looked up to him. And then there was a girl, her boyfriend, believe it or not, his name was Shane too, and he was a punk rock guy named Shane Williams. And I'm real big about this. I never want to be mistaken for him because he was no good, like in prison. And so a lot of times Shane, like I'm Shane Enholm, that was Shane Williams. He wrote for Flipside, this punk rock magazine. He called himself the rock and roll bank robber, but his girlfriend.
We had vaguely similarities.
Yeah, but it's not me. Because later, when I was in the system, I found out Tommy Silverstein's crime partner, he used to blow him. Yeah, he used to blow him. So I was like, wow. So I never want to be mistaken for that guy. You know, it's really important to me.
Without naming names, you want to detail, like, how much homosexuality?
You know, not as much as you would, not as much as you'd think.
What's the but certain people you might have had reputation of it might have been doing.
Yeah, you know, that guy, I knowing that guy, I never thought that. But when I met Packy Chainsaw, and we were musicians, and that's how we got close, me and him. And then I said, hey, do you know this guy? And he told me, yeah. And he said he would never swallow, he'd spit. He did say that. And I was like, wow, Packy. And he goes, yeah, he liked to do it. I would lay down in the band room, and he told me the whole thing. Okay, that's enough information, Packy. Like, I'm good. But, you know, I think if a guy was doing it like blowing guys, he definitely had a propensity for it. You dig what I'm saying? But a lot of guys, like I could never do that. But a lot of guys, there was a couple of old time guys, there was like these punks in there, and they would say, hey, I got a date tonight. And they would go, you know, shit like that. Yeah. Yeah, that was funny, because I'd be like, you got a date tonight? One time I dropped some dope off. I had the bag in there, and I took some to this guy, Shorty, Texas. And I took a paper, and he came out of his cell. He had his blanket up, and I knew he had a punk in there. And I'm like, dude, you even wash your hands before you, what the fuck? but not a lot of it, but it goes on.